Refresh, a show where we revisit the films, shows, and games from our childhood to try to take another look at what we fell in love with. And it's the holiday season here, so I'm joined by our two favorite elves, Nick and Dean.
Hello there.
Howdy ho!
So for the holiday season, normally this would be the slot where we do a Rule of Thirds episode, but we have no topics that any of us can agree on, so it is now the Screen Refresh holiday party of us just taking in the past year, chatting a little bit about our holidays past, our gifts, our favorite holiday movies, just all sorts of things here.
Our hopes and our dreams for the future.
Yeah, whatever is going to be easiest to edit because it has no structure.
I think it's a lot easier because you can just pick and choose the subjects that we talk about, and you keep on going.
Because
in any order.
I mean, I'm guaranteed if we do a list of everybody picks 3, I have a maximum of 9 items that I'm really being based around. This could be so much more.
We could talk for 5 hours, but you could just end it anywhere you want to.
Yeah, that's what I mean. You can
True, actually, yeah, there's no
just
end to a
fade
topic
out.
that doesn't exist.
Just fade out the conversation and
like an 80s music track. It's like they didn't have ends of songs in the 80s. It just kind of slowly keeps doing the chorus until it fades.
How do you do that live? Like you gotta, end it somehow.
when I play live with the neighbors across the street, we just
You just slowly play
here's
softer
just
and
hit
softer.
a sting, boom, there's the last note of the measure, and we're out.
Just keep
It's like
just
Big
keep
Rock
going
ending.
until you're tired. Like I don't want to do this anymore.
Or keep going till they're tired.
We only play Inagata Davida by Iron Butterfly, so just one 18-minute session song, and I go home. That's a Christmas song, right? Inagata Davida.
Well, I think it was Perry Como originally did that.
I hope
Or
carolers come
Andy
to
Williams.
Yeah, I hope carolers come and sing Inagata Davida on our front lawn.
So speaking of holidays past and all of these things, what do we want to chat about today? Do we want to get into does Die Hard count as a Christmas film? Do we want to get into why the Nintendo 64 was the best Christmas gift I probably ever got?
My wife literally just said, I told her before, I just said, we're just doing kind of a spitball holiday episode. She's like, oh, you'll talk about like Die Hard being a Christmas movie?
I mean, it is. I
So-
don't know what the debate is about it.
Yeah, it's odd that it's debated. I mean, granted, sure, yeah, you probably, people don't want it in the same list as like A Christmas Carol or It's a Wonderful Life, but it takes place at Christmas. There's Christmas aesthetic. It's a Christmas movie.
I don't know. I think it's fun and it's funny to say it's a Christmas movie, but there's the party. He probably says like Merry Christmas at some point. Santa Claus is not part of the equation.
There's Christmas stuff all over the place. You can definitely tell it is a Christmas time movie, and that is realistically, there's no other time when an entire corporate office would be gathered like that to have a party.
I'd
So
put
that's-
Gremlins. Oh, go ahead.
No, just I think of it as definitely a Christmas movie. And I have a couple others that I try to watch that are non-orthodox Christmas movies. Gremlins is another one.
Right. I'd put that above Die Hard as far as on the Christmas totem.
In terms of which ones you like or which ones represents Christmas.
Yeah, it's like there's a slider, and one side is Easter movies, on the other side is Christmas movies. All movies fall in between in there somewhere. I'd say it's closer to Christmas. Gremlins is.
I mean, it's because it's more snow because it doesn't take place in LA.
Yeah.
So are you saying that LA Christmas movies aren't deserving of the Christmas movie title?
That is not what I'm saying at all.
Well, you're insinuating snow has to be a factor in the entire thing.
Tim
Yeah.
just did.
So how do you feel about Iron Man 3 being considered a Christmas movie?
Is the Christmas holiday in that movie like today is Christmas? I'm fighting not Whiplash. The not Manchurian Candidate, the Mandarin. I can't think of what M word. Iron Man versus the Manchurian Candidate for Christmas.
That's Tim's Arena. I don't know that movie well.
I think the original was was it Frank Sinatra, and then they did the remake with Denzel Washington.
Ryan Gosling, I think, is in that.
I thought you
Wait,
meant
in-
like what fucking what's his name? Sinatra was playing Tony Stark. Like, what are you talking about? No,
Yeah,
no.
I mean,
The first Iron Man 3.
If
Yeah.
they did Avengers back in like the 50s, 60s,
It's the Rat Pack.
it would probably be the Rat Pack. Frank Sinatra would be Captain America. Dean Martin would be Iron Man.
Listen, Tony, man, you dig? We gotta save the world.
Yeah, so you would say that, or like Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, pretty much any of the Shane Black catalog, seeing as all of his stuff is Christmas.
He does like Christmas.
He does love Christmas. So Kiss Kiss Bang Bang takes place in LA, so that's not a Christmas movie? They're at Christmas parties, there's Christmas things, there's decorations. He gets a gift for Christmas.
No, it's not a Christmas movie.
So by that admission,
Christmas has
Snow.
to be a central theme setting in your movie.
Does it just have to follow a really terrible person? They discover a life lesson, and then
No.
they turn their life around. Come the end of the movie,
I mean, that's lots of movies. That's a lot. That's
a
lots
lot
of
of
movies.
big,
Period.
like, well, Christmas Carol. That's what they do. Wonderful Life. He's about to kill himself now.
which, if anything, It's a Wonderful Life is less of a Christmas movie than the rest of them. It's not really a central part of the film. It just happens to end at Christmas.
Well, yeah. I guess the beginning of the movie doesn't take place on Christmas or Christmas Eve, but it does get to Christmas Eve where he goes. Or wait, is it? I don't know. It's been a long time since I saw that movie.
But the fact that it's Christmas Eve at the end isn't integral to the plot. It just happens to be Christmas Eve.
I think you've made a case. Like, we should stop watching It's a Wonderful Life on Christmas.
I've never actually seen that movie.
It's terrific.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
great. You should watch it. Just one of those, like Tim should watch E.T. It's like, you gotta just see it and know what the hell everybody's talking about.
For 2022, we'll make a list of the movies that we each need to see.
Gremlins, I mean, there's the classic Santa story that she tells, that Phoebe Cates tells. Phoebe Cates tells that story about her father.
I was trying to remember why Nick is laughing, and then I'm like, oh God, yes, that story.
Who could forget that?
He was dressed in a Santa Claus suit. He'd been climbing down the chimney on Christmas Eve, his arms loaded with presents. He was going to surprise us. He slipped and broke his neck, died instantly. And that's how I found out there was no Santa Claus.
Yeah, that like twisted story, and then I think they did another, like they made fun of it in the second movie of having her tell like another story, if I recall.
Yeah, I feel that one was a lot more tongue in cheek, or at least I really hope it was, because the first one was pretty shocking. Then doing it again the second time just didn't feel like
What was
it
it?
didn't feel right.
What if it was a story about her father both times, and it's like, but wait,
I don't know what reality is anymore.
didn't he die in the first story?
I mean, it could have happened before he died.
Or her mother remarried?
Yeah, man, that's shitty luck.
2 holiday-related father accidents.
Could you imagine you start dating this girl with a young daughter, and one of the requirements for dating her is like, you can't dress up as any historical figure for my daughter. Absolutely, under no circumstances can you dress up as Santa, as Abraham Lincoln, or anybody else.
This man with this
Honey,
beard and a hat looked just like Abe Lincoln.
Honey, I really don't think
Except
we've
for
got
the
time for this
raincoat.
now, you know?
He, I remember, oh God, he said, hello, little girl.
Honey, come on.
I was about to ding you on historical figure, but I guess Saint Nick. I guess it's like a legend, right? Or is it like based on a real person?
Yeah.
Sinterklaas.
There's actually, for any of you interested or any of our listeners, there's a podcast called Christmas Past that is very pleasant and wholesome. And each episode they cover like a different aspect or tradition of Christmas time. So it's like, what is a sugar plum, and explaining that, like how did Christmas trees get started? Why do we decorate like with lights and like all those different things?
Tim, can
I'm
I ask
sure
you a
there's-
question?
You may.
In your busy schedule, how do you find time to always find a relevant podcast to mention on our show?
It's because I travel or used to travel a lot more, and then I used to have a long commute. So it would be a case of I would have to have so many shows because I might be listening to like 12 hours of podcasts a day while I'm like on planes, in cars.
In my headcanon, you just have like 2 iPods with you at all times. One ear has one iPod, the other ear has another iPod, and then on your phone you're watching a movie, but you also have picture-in-picture with another movie while you're listening to 2 podcasts at the same time.
So there are times where I'll have one headphone in while I'm listening to a podcast. I'll have one screen on my computer playing a movie that I'm listening to through my speakers. I'm playing a mobile game on my phone while I'm waiting for my PC game to load in between things, and I'm just jumping between all 4.
What's wrong with America?
You're a robot.
It's because time is fleeting, and if I don't get everything I can out of life, I have to go back to work, and it's not ideal. So.
I just imagine each of your eyes moving independently and like blinking at different times as you're processing all this information.
Like the robot girl from Squid Game.
Yeah, exactly.
One of my other favorite unorthodox Christmas movies is also Batman Returns.
There you go.
Because that one predominantly takes place during Christmas. It does have major Christmas influences, like the lighting of the Christmas tree and all the Christmas gifts that are happening, and it definitely is set. And you even have snow.
Which I feel like Batman Returns has one of my favorite aesthetics of a movie. Just all of the like gothic architecture with like,
the city is a character in itself.
Yeah. With just the snow and all of the big Christmas spectacular and whatnot. It's perfect.
I haven't seen that in a long time.
I feel like that's the one I've seen the least out of all of them.
All I remember is Danny DeVito biting noses and Black Blood.
I loved the movie as a kid. I liked it a lot more than the 89 Batman. And it's funny because I am the exact market McDonald's got really pissed about when they found out. I'm like, oh my God, you're marketing this to the wrong kids. What are we doing? This isn't a kid-friendly movie. Meanwhile, like, 5-6-year-old me is like, yeah, it could be worse.
But do you remember the game?
Someone must cage the wild animals let loose upon the streets of Gotham City. In Batman Returns from Konami, only you, as the Caped Crusader himself, can end their wicked reign of terror. It's Super NES action like you've never seen before, simulating all the adventure and intrigue of the hit blockbuster movie.
Which one?
The SNES one?
There are several.
Shit, I don't remember that. I remember the
I
Forever
thought they only
game.
had one Batman Returns SNES game.
Well, there was a couple for Sega. I think there was one for Game Boy.
Oh yeah, I only ever had the SNES one, which I think we rented and played through. I think I owned Batman Forever. All of them seemed so similar at the time.
Oh, that's a beat 'em up. It's a beat 'em up game.
Oh yeah, I mean predominantly that's what we were playing back then.
It had the Mortal Kombat style graphics.
Which one?
More the Batman Forever.
Forever, yeah, it was.
Yeah,
It's more realistic, quote unquote.
Yeah, it was the live action FMV of just real people walking across the screen.
They got Val Kilmer for this.
I wonder why they stopped doing that with games.
They don't make money.
Now it's all like the... Do you remember the entire stint where like FMVs were popular of just the pre-recorded video of things like, I think it was like Mad Dog McGraw or something was the PC game where you're like the cowboy and it's all the live action.
It's in the air. It's an ill wind that blows no good. Mad Dog McCree and his band of cutthroats riding into town. Folks here plumb scared to death. Town's deserted. Even a tumbleweed doesn't dare blow across the streets today. 'Cause these hombres are mean, vicious, quick with guns. Sure, we got a sheriff. But what we need's a gunslinger. You handle yourself, Pilgrim. You spray a little lead in harm's way.
Yeah, I had Sega CD had a lot of those. Prize Fighter and Night Trap. Sewer
Night Trap,
Shark, I think.
Welcome to the sewers, punk. The guy you're replacing, he had that same tough guy smirk on his face that you do. Till he hit the wall. They're out there now blotting him up with handy wipes. But the ghost here, I always come back for more.
The Goosebumps game, Escape from Horrorland.
Didn't play that one.
You should have.
Yeah, they were basically, it was just like, you were cued to push a certain button, and if you didn't, then it changed the course of whatever, or you failed, or...
Yeah, Sega CD had a Power Rangers game where it's just replayed the pilot episode, and you had to hit the button to correspond with the action on the screen before it happens, else you fail. But you pretty much just play through the whole first episode.
Does anybody remember the game Piper with Jason David Frank?
A video-active adventure starring Jason David Frank.
No.
Where he plays the Pied Piper of Hamelin in this like Wild West town or something like that. And he turns out to be like working with the villains. I remember because of my love of Power Rangers, my parents saw this game and bought it for it. It was like multiple discs, and it came in this like giant plastic thick case, like a cube. And you would have to like switch around all the, because I mean, this was like back in the 12 disc days kind of deal. But I remember it was the weirdest juxtaposition of, yes, I love Power Rangers, Tommy's the coolest, and then watching him like with a top hat as the Pied Piper of Hamelin turn out to be a villain. I'm like, I don't think this was really capitalizing on Power Rangers.
Oh, it was.
Actually,
it was.
True.
You had to do something between seasons.
Was. Well, I love at the end when he pulls out the Dragon Zord dagger.
Just stabs all the rats. So that was one of those, like, there's lots of video, but it's also kind of like a click adventure, like your puzzles and stuff.
I had an X-Files game that was like that. It was like 12 discs long. You don't even play as a Mulder or Scully, but you're following an FBI agent that's looking into their recent disappearance because Skinner called in a favor with the Bureau and your office was closest to their point of disappearance. And the whole thing was shot and filmed, but it was a point-and-click adventure, which was really cool.
I kind of miss the point-and-click adventures at this point. It seems everything is in cycles of we slowly get more and more and more advanced with the games, and I want like these open world major RPGs, and then it gets to a timing situation of I can't sit down and play this, I don't have time. Let me just find like the fun little retro style things. And I feel like point and click adventures are ripe for a bigger comeback, unless they are right now and I'm just not savvy to them. So if there's any listeners that like them.
One came out, it's on your wish list actually.
I mean that's
no
deep.
Game, Wrong Dimension.
Oh, yes. Yeah, I think you recommended that, yeah.
Yeah, it's a quick game, only took me like 8 hours to beat it. But it's a point and click. It hits all of the right nostalgia feels. And it was really, really well done.
Because I think for the while, it became not so much the point and clicks, but they became all like the quote unquote walking simulators, which also has some of the point and click aspects. But I feel like it took up so much more time, which some of them are cool, but also like the point and click is just, it cuts out all the middleman. It's just straight to the point. Here's a screen. Where do I have to walk to? You don't walk. You have an arrow that goes forward, an arrow goes right, arrow goes left.
What do you mean a walking simulator?
Yeah, I was dying at the thought of a walking simulator.
So any of those games that it's the more around experiencing the storyline, but there's not much interaction from the player. It's more so just like you're controlling them and walking to like the next area, and then maybe you might inspect something, and then you walk to the next area, and then you inspect something, and there's not really much in terms of gameplay. Like I haven't finished it, but I know some of I originally learned the term of a game, I think it's What Remains of Edith Finch, which is got really good reviews. It's on my list. I still want to sit down and play it, but it's one of those things of it's not so much gameplay intensive. It's more of the story and experience. So that's why they call them walking simulators, because it's like there's not really much for you to do other than just walk through all this and just get to the next thing so you get more story.
Where are you putting Monkey Island? Because that's my favorite. That's like my quintessential point and
It's
click.
a point and click.
Yeah.
It's a point and click, yeah.
But you walk the character, so that's why I'm confused about like what you're
Well,
talking
no,
about.
so if it was, you didn't have any other real interactions, like Monkey Island of solving things and like
Right.
having an inventory or like,
Yeah.
I don't know, I didn't play Monkey Island. But like all of that, then that kind of goes into more traditional point and click. But if the main thing is just experiencing the story and your interaction is only really so you can get the character into the next set piece that they need to
Gotcha.
continue that, then
Yeah,
that's more
it's
of
very
the
linear.
walking simulator. Yeah, it's
Whereas point and clicks are not linear. I mean,
yeah.
by and large. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, it's just very kind of on the rails kind of deal. Which
Monkey Island? I need more Monkey Island games. Just keep making them.
The Secret of Monkey Island, a game so big only the Sega's CD could hold it. You are Guybrush Threepwood, would-be pirate. Something's afoot on these islands, and it's up to you to find out what's what. A graphic adventure game has never been so easy. Using the award-winning SCUM system, walking, talking, taking is as simple as pointing the cursor and pressing a button. The Secret of Monkey Island offers adventure gamers a new kind of storytelling experience that includes logic puzzles, complex conversations, and side-splitting humor. Available now from LucasArts Games and JVC, The Secret of Monkey Island sets new standards for Sega Genesis CD games.
I miss that. Like, there's a lot of good stuff now, but I also really miss a lot of the games of my childhood, like the Quest for Glory games were also the point and clicks, which were fun if anybody was a Quest for Glory person.
I give you that recommendation for. I didn't know you were in a point and click either, so there is no game. Wrong Dimensions, another recommendation for you as well.
Yeah.
I just played one on I think 2 years ago, I think. One came out on Xbox Live. I think it was like the original creators of, what was the one for console? It was like a house with like an alien family, or like not an alien family. There was like an alien. The story was like some kind of alien like lands near this house, and I think you bounce back and forth between characters. Point and click. Damn, what was that called?
How recent
I'll
was
give you
it?
time.
Sorry, I went on a tangent trying to think of the first one that these creators made. But the one that I played recently by them is like 2 years old, I think.
Do you remember what the one you played was? And then we could backtrack from there. I guess not.
Oh, fuck, I hate lists. They're like the 50 best. I'm like, ugh. I'm not
Gotta
gonna be able
watch
to
an
find
ad
it quickly.
between
Oh,
each
Thimbleweed.
one.
Yep. Okay, I got it. It came out in 2017. There was one called Thimbleweed Park.
Oh, I have
yeah.
heard of that. That
Yeah.
I think I have it on Switch, but it's like that and Oxenfree were the two games that I got on Switch because they seemed kind of similar, and I was like, oh, these will be great. And then I just never got around to playing them.
Yeah, that's like one of those just like classic. It feels very much like, oh, Maniac Mansion. That's the point and click.
Oh.
That's like the OG, and like Secret of Monkey Island. It's kind of like feels like those games, but they actually worked on, I think, Maniac Mansion. I think I could be wrong, but it's very much in the spirit of those games, like the comedy, like the cheeky comedy, and it's just a fun little game to play. Sometimes those puzzles get, I don't know how you can finish any of those games without like Googling.
Cheating.
I mean, the temptation there is there to like, I'll try to figure out, and then you go and Google it, and you realize there's just some stupid little lever somewhere you didn't realize that you could touch, and then you gotta go.
Well, that's why you have to play it back before you can Google it. When your only options was to have to go on dial-up and check like game facts or something like that.
Yeah, game facts. Game FAQs, as I didn't really know how that was pronounced.
I always
don't think I know
Of
what
course you
FAQ meant.
Or
So
you
I
have
was
to
like,
call
what
like,
did you say?
the Nintendo Power help number or something.
Right, forgot about that. So holiday point and click games. Is that where we were going here?
I mean, I think we were just going down the rabbit hole of like old PC and console games.
Oh yeah, we were talking about Batman Returns as a movie, and then that became the SNES discussion.
This is why
That
we
was our brand.
structure with topics.
No
I was just trying to
structure.
bring it back.
Just
Bringing
off
it
the
back.
from the hip. Don't need
Oh, from the hip with
structure.
Judd Nelson.
Are there any Christmas themed games? Like nothing's jumping to my. There probably is. Nothing's jumping to my head.
Only one, but it's not really. Visceral Cleanup. They have a Christmas edition.
That sounds violent.
Yeah. Imagine like a Christmas themed horror movie, and at the
Gotcha.
very end, after the credits roll, you're the janitor that has to clean up the place. So you have to like grab all the alien guts from the room and, then sanitize the area, and all the blood that's on the walls, you have to scrub it off.
Sounds about as good as Walking Simulator. Walking
I mean-
Simulator on Steam on Oculus.
So evidently, I love how, because now you had me curious. I was like, so are there just straight up Christmas games? And the list of like, the top 10 best Christmas games are just normal games that just have like Christmas skins in them. It's like the number one Christmas game, Fortnite, because they give you a snowman. It's like, it's not a Christmas game.
Arkham Origins. That is like Christmas time, I think.
True.
That's as Christmassy as Batman Returns.
Yeah. Dead Rising 4, best Christmas game. Yeah, that's reaching. I guess there's not really a market for Christmas games. Or like, why couldn't something like, I don't know. I guess just because the idea of commercialized Christmas is just a simple thing. It's like, what are you gonna, unless it's a mobile game or something quick and stupid, not gonna base your whole game around it.
I mean, I feel like there's enough winter games, just not Christmas themed games. Until Dawn, there's snow.
Yeah.
By your definition, that's Christmas, right, Dean?
That's
Is that one pass the mustard?
Yeah, I think the movie Alive, the plane crash, that's a Christmas movie.
Yeah.
In the snowy mountains. And they eat each
Is that
other.
the one where what was it, the like football team or something like that?
Football team?
It was like, I thought it was like the men's Olympic something team.
Maybe a
Ends up-
different crash movie.
There's a lot of Crash movies. Anybody
Like
who's a fan
Crash.
of Crash movies, we just started watching Yellow Jackets on Showtime about the girls' soccer team that crashes in the woods, and it flashes between current day and all of them surviving out there and cannibalism.
So I just looked at, I pulled up my Plex server, and I was thinking, what Christmas movies do I have? And apparently I have a category that it decided to offer me right off the bat, because I'm like, why is Batman Returns on the top of this list? So there's Batman Returns, obviously National Lampoon's A Christmas Vacation, but then also Better Off Dead, Lethal Weapon, In Bruges, Gremlins, Die Hard, and Krampus.
All non-traditional Christmas movies?
Yeah. Krampus is undeniable, though. I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's Christmas horror, but it's
It is
definitely
Christmas.
seated in Christmas.
I forgot In Bruges. It's been a while since I saw that movie. But
Me too.
that's a solid movie. With some really violent parts.
Yeah,
But
it
it's
has
great.
I remember only seeing it once in theater. I don't know, I think it might have been with you, Nick.
It was.
But I remember seeing it once in theaters, and I liked it, but it had a weird tone.
Never could bring
Of it-
myself to watch it again afterward either. Nothing wrong
Yeah.
with it, but just only saw it once.
Because it's not like there's funny moments in it, but it's not a comedy. And a lot of it seems kind of like mean-spirited.
I would say
and kind of like depressing.
I would say I think it is a comedy by and large.
I think
just
if anything,
a dark comedy.
Yeah, it's for sure dark.
It lists it as comedy as the first, and then comedy, drama, crime, thriller.
Which could be like Kiss Kiss Bang Bang. I
Yeah.
guess.
I mean, the funniest parts were in the trailer, with the exception of like the nook and crannies bit. But all the good, decent scenes that actually were lighthearted enough to be considered funny were just shown in the trailer.
Yeah. Still a lot of amazing stuff in the movie itself, like drama-wise, but I want something a little pep in my step.
Different moods, different pep steps, different folks.
If I'm going to watch a non-traditional Christmas movie, I'm going to watch Black Christmas. You ever see Black Christmas? They've made 3 of them now, and they progressively get worse in terms of remakes.
Remember those idyllic scenes out of your childhood? Crisp winter nights, sleigh bells, crackling Yule logs? Remember those? Remember them well. After Black Christmas, they'll never be the same again. Black Christmas. If this movie doesn't make your skin crawl, it's on too tight.
Rated R.
The original Black Christmas is about a killer who harasses a sorority via crank phone calls and then starts bumping them off one by one. And it was directed by, I believe, Bob Clark, who is known for A Christmas Story.
Wow.
So, a weird juxtaposition on that resume.
His pendulum swung the other way. Pretty hard.
Enough of this Christmas.
What's, I've never seen it, but Silent Night, Deadly Night 2? Is it 2? That's like the popular one?
Garbage Day! Huh? No!
Yeah.
That one? Yeah. Silent Night, Deadly Night 2 that essentially uses 45 minutes of footage from Silent Night, Deadly Night 1.
Oh my god.
Because the movie starts with the kid at like the institute, and he's talking to, I think, the psychiatrist, and he's relaying all of the stuff that happened and whatnot. But instead of just like relaying it and getting on with the movie, they relay it by re-showing all of those scenes he's talking about from the first movie. So the real movie, I feel like, doesn't even real start until like almost an hour in.
We'll give you half the budget you had before.
It's a movie that'll give royalties to ourselves.
It's a scheme. It's just a business scheme, that movie.
It's like when Jay-Z buys his own vodka at the club.
Look, it's good. He's wearing a mustache and nobody knows. Like, look, try this vodka. Did you guys ever watch, or have you seen the Jim Henson's The Christmas Toy special?
Yes.
I can't believe Rugby would do something that stupid. What if he got caught outside and was frozen forever?
Oh, you're right.
A stuffed tiger learns there's more to life than being a star. Muppets creator Jim Henson and Kermit the Frog introduce a new special, The Christmas Toy.
Have you seen, are there any other like kind of or at least not as popular, like Christmas specials you remember watching as a kid? Like, I don't think people really talk about the Christmas Toy, but
no. Sometimes I think I like made it up as a kid.
I only remember a couple of scenes from it too.
It's a fever dream.
Yeah.
I mean, it's extremely similar to Toy Story.
Yes.
Like
it's
toy
like the
shows
first.
Up.
Yeah, it's like they essentially turned A Christmas Toy into the Toy Story's like first act.
Yeah,
is like what that movie is,
Except
and then they added the whole,
Yeah, if Buzz wasn't naive, he just was evil.
Is it on Disney Plus?
There's also a rescue mission too, like in the special.
Yeah.
They just kind of like jumbled the order of things around.
I don't know if it's on Disney Plus. I feel like it should.
It's on Prime. I watched it today, or at least just like clicked through it just to refresh myself. But you can watch it on Prime. Listener, The Christmas Toy. Yeah, if you've seen Toy Story, when you watch this, it's like, holy shit.
The little Raggedy Ann doll looks exactly like Chucky.
Chucky?
Oh my god.
It's creepy when you just see her, but when she starts talking, you're like, okay, this is not so bad.
Like
I mean, she's Chucky adjacent.
Oh my god. I mean, if there's a good guy doll, she's the female equivalent.
I think he's overreacting, listeners.
No,
but when I first saw her, when I saw her again today, I was like, oh, it's a little creepy. But when she talks and moves, it's like, okay. I feel more comfortable. And vomits.
Now, do you remember the show Secret Life of Toys?
No.
Because we used to, on Sunday morning, like when we would have breakfast on, I think it was like Disney. Well, yeah, it would have had to have been probably Disney. They used to show episodes of it. And it's one of those shows that for years, like, I thought I just made up, because it's like I knew The Christmas Toy because we owned the VHS of Christmas Toy. but I forgot if the actual show existed. I mean, it's like a lot of those ones from your early childhood where you're not old enough to quite understand what you're watching sometimes, or it's been so long that it starts to drift out of your memory for the specifics. Like, I think the other show was Under the Umbrella Tree that I just remember bits and pieces of, and for years I'm like, I have no idea what this is. Until all of a sudden I wake up in a cold sweat at 2 a.m. on like a weekday, and I'm like, I have to Google until I can find out what this is.
Do you remember the Alice in Wonderland show?
No.
It might have been just before your time. She had a kids show as well.
That's like on the
okay. To prove a point,
the fringes
Nick just
of my
said
memory.
The Chucky doll and the oh my god, her overalls even look very similar.
Yeah, the coloring on her shirt. They could have come from the same toy line. You wouldn't have known the difference. It's like Raggedy Ann and Andy.
So yeah, go Google the Christmas toy or Secret Life of Toys and look for the Raggedy Ann doll, or like the.
She's not Raggedy Ann.
Yeah, she's not a Raggedy Ann. I forgot what her name is in this.
Is it Meteora?
Chim Chim. No, Meteora's the new one.
Yeah, her name was Raisin.
What year was Child's Play? Because this was 86.
About the same.
Maybe just with Cabbage Patch and stuff like being popular, it was like.
Wait, Christmas Toy was 86?
Yeah.
Oh wow, because the actual show Secret Life of Toys didn't come out until 94.
Oh, yeah,
Child's
they dug
Play
up the old idea then.
1988.
What was?
Child's Play.
Oh yeah, so they
Man.
ripped off
Child's Play having to
I mean,
cough up
she
that
looked like a
Disney
Cabbage
money.
Patch doll, so kind of.
I believe the term is legally distinct characteristics. His hair is straight, hers is curly. Overalls are a little different.
Stripes though. Striped shirt. Yeah, the Christmas toy. Yeah, it's. I want to hear John Lasseter talk about the Christmas toy. I'd be like, okay, John, who developed this story for Toy Story?
And why are you in the pocket of Big Chucky? Or actually, no. Why is Chucky in the pocket of Big Raisin?
Big John Lasseter.
Big John.
But yeah, I was like trying to think if there are any other specials like from the back of my mind.
Do you remember years ago there was a cartoon called The Town That Santa Forgot, or like The Town Santa Forgot? I remember Dick Van Dyke did the narration for it, and it was about this like bratty kid named Jeremy. Was it Jeremy Creek? And he has all these things and all these toys, and he doesn't share. And then he has this like giant Christmas list that he sends out that he wants. And then Santa gets it and sees so many things on the list that he thinks, and then he sees the name Jeremy Creek and he thinks it's a town and not a single kid. So he looks at the map and he finds Jeremy Creek and he realizes it's a location he's been passing by for years and never stopping at. So he drops all of these things off there, and then they like go on the news and they're like, "Thank you, Jeremy Creek. We never sent anything to Santa." And then the kid like finds the true meaning of Christmas.
So he's just like a super brat.
Yeah, and then he like realizes that, oh, I could be doing good for people. And then he kind of like loves Christmas and then becomes like Santa's right-hand man.
He becomes like a serial killer that kills serial killers.
No, he becomes Santa's heavy. When Santa needs to like get a point across, he sends down Jeremy Creek.
The muscle.
Yeah. He's the coal.
Shit, that's all you had to say. You sent in Jeremy Creek.
Okay, I'll have your money. I'll have your money. So, Nick, I don't know if you have any ones that you remember offhand at all.
Not really. I grew up mainly watching the ones that came out, like the big ones. Like the Santa Claus, when it came out, was huge. I'm trying to look it up. There was a movie about like the origin of Santa, but it was meant for adults. Well, not adults per se, but it wasn't filled with like rainbows and shit, for like definitely targeted for kids. Yeah, I'm trying to just look it up. Like the first half is just it follows the some guy before he takes on the actual mantle of Santa, and I think he meets the elves and slowly
I vaguely remember this.
Yeah,
there's a Santa Claus movie, that I'm trying to think of. The only thing I can remember is I feel like somebody's homeless and somebody puts out like a meal of food for this kid. Is that the movie you're talking about?
Maybe, but it starts off in like
I think it's not called like I think it's like the Santa movie, or it's
Santa
it's
Claus
similar
the movie?
to the Santa Claus. Yeah, Santa Claus the movie maybe.
Is that the one with Dudley Moore as an elf?
I don't know. Santa Claus the movie.
It could be.
First half of the film, set hundreds of years ago, shows how a peasant woodcutter eventually becomes Santa Claus.
That's the one.
Is there a homeless child with a plate of food in the snow? That should be in the synopsis.
Yep, and it was Dudley Moore as Patch.
I think this is it. I think, we were talking about the same thing.
Wait, you said?
John Lithgow. Yes, holy shit. Oh, this is unlocking. Oh.
You're welcome. Merry
My
Christmas.
childhood is rushing back.
You just saved me a lot of money in postage.
Santa Claus the movie. Oh, the scene with the reindeer taking off. Holy shit. If anybody is between the ages of 30 and 40, you probably remember this movie.
Yeah, because then
Look
shortly
up
after,
Santa Claus the movie.
our good old Tim the Two Man Taylor took over the Santa Claus mantle, and pretty much every major Santa movie usually had his face on it for a long time after.
Burgess Meredith as an ancient elf.
Santa Claus
Shit,
came out
I
in
gotta-
94.
I gotta find this and watch it now.
During this. Screen refresh live.
I feel like this is a movie like Laura probably hasn't seen, and I'm like, we're watching this shit.
She's going to have
My wife.
zero
Laura's my
nostalgia
wife.
tied to it.
She'll shit all over it. I'm like, no, my childhood.
It was dark growing up in the 80s. It was before a lot of the modern things these kids have nowadays. Like, we didn't have Shrek or, Tim Allen as Buzz Lightyear or the Santa Claus. We didn't have Oogity Boogity. We didn't have anything when it comes to this stuff. So in those first 5-6 years of development, we didn't have much to go on.
I mean, we had, have you ever seen the movie The Christmas Star? It was a Disney movie with Ed Asner. The whole thing was, originally he was like a thief of some sort, like a bank robber or something like that, with his partner. And then his partner took the money and left him behind, and he got caught and he ends up in prison. And then he ends up breaking out on Christmas Eve to go track down and get the money that was hidden from the heist that they did before he ended up going in. And then he ends up getting injured, so he's hiding out inside in a Santa suit inside some kid's basement at an apartment building, and they think he's the real Santa. So he starts bringing all the kids in, and he's getting them to perform the heist for him from the basement as Santa.
I think I've seen that.
Great movie. I think it's probably my favorite Christmas, actual Christmas movie. Because he's being chased down by Fred Gwynn.
Yeah, Herman Munster.
Herman Munster.
I gotta watch that too.
Or if you remember One Magic Christmas with Mary Steenburgen, and actually I think I confuse what's his name from Reanimator sometimes with Elias Cotis, but Elias Cotis is in this one, but the whole thing is One Magic Christmas. It's about the family and whatnot, and they're not doing well money wise, and they're just making ends meet, and it's kind of like an It's a Wonderful Life scenario of they send down the Christmas angel who's supposed to convince the mother of the true meaning of Christmas. So Santa kills her family and then makes her think about what it's like to not have them. And then once she finds Christmas again, he gives them back. You laugh. Check it out. Still love the movie.
You were serious?
Kind of twisted.
You mean kills, or is it It's a Wonderful Life's them? What do you mean kills?
No, straight kills. I mean, Santa does come off his sleigh and do a drive-by, but so spoilers for
Does
One Magic.
Touch them on the head and they die?
Does he put them in the snow globe?
Like Krampus.
Well, I mean, the poster has a snow globe with the characters on it, and I imagine it's their twisted way of saying this is what happens to them.
So what happens is while she's at work, the husband ends up taking the kids. He has to stop at the bank, like near her job. When he goes in, there's another guy that goes in that tries to rob the place. And then the guy ends up shooting the husband during the getaway. And then to get out of there fast, he steals the car, and the car still has the kids inside. And then he like drives away, and the police are chasing him, and he drives it off a bridge into the river.
That's
So
pretty
like
wholesome.
the husband's dead. I think the kids survive, but then it's like her living without the husband, and then she ends up meeting the Christmas angel, and he's like, "You still have a Christmas wish," and she's like, "Please don't let everybody be dead." And Santa giveth, Santa taketh away.
She's like, I wish I found that action figure my son was looking for. Granted. Oh, wait, no. Oh, shit. wait, no. No takebacks.
Yeah, I hear they're really rare this year. What? Oh.
Mary Steenburgen's in a towel in this movie, so that's cool.
Whatever floats your boat, kid. Harry Dean Stanton was great as the Christmas angel. It's nice, like I know he's had like a long. Wait, what?
Sorry, that's one of his lines from Red Dawn.
I thought you were still on Mary Steenburgen with a towel.
Doesn't Harry Dean say, "Avenge me"? He's the husband that dies.
I've not seen Red Dawn in 2 decades.
I just know him
great,
from Alien, and that's it.
He was also, if I recall, in Paris, Texas, and he's popped up a bunch in like.
Is he in the?
I want to say he was in Wild at Heart.
Is he in Shawshank?
Yes.
Yeah,
he was.
I just remember he has a line about like wishing Mae West would sit on his face or something like that. That's what I remember.
Wait, was that Shawshank or Green Mile?
Shawshank.
He was in Green Mile.
Oh, it's Green Mile. That's what it was. It's Green Mile.
He played Toot Toot.
Beep beep.
And the character. I was just gonna say that. Oh boy.
He played Balthazar in the movie Rango.
Balthazar.
Oh, Harry Dean. Avenge me!
Boys! Avenge me! Avenge me!
Really one of those actors that it's like, once you see him, it's like, oh yeah, I know him. And then all of a sudden you see the list of movies he's been in, it's like, he's been in so much stuff. Clearly he's been in Red Dawn, evidently. I want to say he was in Repo Man.
By
That's
the
gonna drive me
time,
crazy.
wow, by the time he played an Alien, he already had probably 30 plus movies under his belt by that point in time. He's got a hell of a filmography. He goes all the way back to 1954.
Yeah. A lot of like TV series and things like that, like Big Valley, Rawhide, Gunsmoke.
I've never seen the Star Wars holiday special.
Don't.
Even for
you know
the
what?
spectacle.
Because it's you. You would like it.
Is
You
that
would-
because
oh,
he
you mean
sent
like
us that 30
bad
minute
movies
video of
kinda
the
stuff?
Super Smash characters clapping that one time?
Well, he likes bad movies and stuff, so I think you would appreciate it for that level of terrible quality. So
yeah, there's
like the first 5 minutes without subtitles follows a family of Wookiees talking to each other for 5 minutes straight, 0 subtitles.
Is that where that gif of that little Wookiee smiling comes from?
Yeah.
Gotcha.
His grandpa decides at one point that he basically wants to watch holographic porn, and you get to see what he's watching. It's not explicit, but it toes that line of, what are you watching?
It's like Fred Savage watching some questionable late night talk show.
Yeah.
Level of like, what is this?
There's a couple of good scenes in it, and it's funny. And even, what's her name? She was in the Golden Girls. She's in it too.
Not Betty White.
B. Arthur.
No. B. Arthur.
1 in 4 chance. Got it.
I used to have it, but I'm pretty sure if you just like look for it on YouTube, I'm pretty sure there's a copy there.
Yeah. Lucasfilm just pretends it doesn't exist, like even though people can still watch it?
George Lucas went above and beyond to remove the holiday special from the Earth.
The world.
Yeah. He did his absolute best to eradicate its existence, and he almost succeeded until one person had a full VHS length recording, and pretty much every version that you see of it today comes from that one recording because it has the same commercials and stuff.
What's the like short paragraph summary of that movie like being made, like if you can? Like he hated it, but like why does it exist?
I think money. I don't know. Star Wars was the hottest movie of all time. I mean,
right.
He wanted to do a follow-up or do something to say somewhat relevant, and he made I don't know what his decision was on the holiday special. I think it was...
What if the cast was contracted to do something else? Imagine Harrison Ford, like, as much as he talked shit about the dialogue in the movies, how he dealt with that one.
Yeah, they definitely cut a lot of corners with the show. The makeup looks terrible. It definitely didn't have... I don't want to say it didn't have the same budget as the movie, because the budget for the movie was pretty small, too, but...
I've never seen anything from the holiday special until right now.
Yeah.
Oh, really? You never... I mean, I've seen just a couple things here and there, but what's it, like an hour or like 45 minutes or something?
Give or take. Yeah. His name is Lumpy.
I know. It sure is.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
I love this.
There's a cooking show that Chewie's wife watches as she's trying to make the dinner for Life Day. That's their
Chewie's
Christmas. Wife. And that cooking segment is actually pretty funny, and it's only one of the few highlights to the whole show. But I'll admit, I've never seen the entire thing from start to finish. I get about halfway, and there's just a really slow point where I physically can't get past it anymore.
Now, isn't the holiday special like the first introduction of Boba Fett, or at least like the first appearance? Because isn't it like a cartoon or something that he's in?
Yes, that is the first time we ever see him. The cartoon is pretty cool. It's kind of trippy, definitely like the retro American animation styles and all that.
It reminds me of like the Bakshi kind of stuff, like Fire and Ice or Heavy Metal, like all of that.
Yeah,
they're releasing that Boba Fett figure based on that cartoon.
Not surprised.
And then we get the Book of Boba Fett later this month.
Day after my birthday.
That's a new religion.
The Book of Boba
Actually,
Fett.
It's not new. It's not a new religion. It's been around for a long time.
So
little Wookiee. Oh my god.
Little Lumpy. Now, honestly, with all of the new trilogy and all of this stuff, if you really want to impress me, take a stab at randomly including in Lumpy in the new movies.
Hell, base the whole movie around him.
Yeah, just like Grogu and Lumpy.
Lumpy.
Like
just like a buddy cop company, like that's like a buddy cop movie with Turner and Hooch, but Hooch, and then the Mogwai and Gizmo from Gremlins.
I would watch it. Give me like an Expendables with like Grogu, Lumpy, Gizmo.
So fun fact, Jon Favreau is the one that made the Life Day, he made the holiday special canon. Because when he made The Mandalorian, there's a throwaway line in the very beginning of the movie after he captures the blue guy and he, throws him in the ship, and like the guy's trying to talk his way out of it the whole time. And at one point he's like, I need to use the bathroom. Can I go use it? And he goes, and as he's just kind of like yelling over his shoulder, trying to just make it seem like he's making conversation, he mentions, I've been wanting to make it home before Life Day. And before that point in Star Wars cinematic history, Life Day has never been addressed, mentioned, or insinuated about. And because John was able to get that line into the show, that makes the holiday special actually part of canon now.
Like George is watching it at home in his living room and he just slams both fists down.
Fuck.
I can't keep getting away with it. I think it's also just weird seeing Star Wars in a TV camera format You know, it just looks cheap just because it's a soap opera.
It looks terrible. Carrie Fisher looks high, and Mark Hamill has the worst makeup artist that they probably found off the street.
Yeah, he's got like stage makeup.
Yeah, his hair looks like a bowl cut.
I gotta sit down and watch that sometime.
You might like it. Let me know how it how you like it.
I like how all of this is just it's trash. You'll like it, Dean.
Yeah.
Well, with bad movies, it's kind of like Uncanny Valley, where it's like, it's obviously fake. No, this is real. But there's the Uncanny Valley where you're like disturbed. And some bad movies are just no substance, and it's like, I can't enjoy any of this.
I mean, I think there's certainly movies that for some reason the way they're shot and just like the way they are, that it's a little off kilter, that it seems like I shouldn't be watching this kind of deal, or like this shouldn't have been released to people. I don't know if the holiday special is like that, but I know there's certainly ones that, like, in the 90s, I would just see the trailer and I'd be like, I'm kind of uncomfortable.
That's what I said when I walked out of Raccoon City.
I've been keeping my eye out for it for any digital release, and still not yet. I don't want to take a day off of work to see it,
but not great.
You guys I just want you guys to see it so I can talk about it with you. I don't want to spoil all the scenes.
I'll definitely watch it. And I already know it's the Resident Evil version of Warcraft. I already know that's exactly how it is.
I haven't seen Warcraft,
to cram
but yes,
too much story into too short a time frame.
Yeah, marketed
but it still
to
has nods to things people would like.
Yep, and it's marketed to a niche group of fans that only they would appreciate. Anyone outside of that will destroy it. Unless they completely fucked both crowds of the fans and the people that never played the game before.
I bet Chris doesn't punch one boulder the entire movie.
Oh, this is pre-boulder, Chris.
I bet one boulder doesn't punch Chris in this movie.
You will be the first one to know once I watch it, Dean.
Cool. Well,
Dean, cough up $24 so Nick and I can get tickets, and we'll just
I'm not
go
going
see
to
it
the theaters to see that. I'm not risking COVID for something that's trash.
No, you only go on a day and a time that there's nobody else in the theater.
I'm not taking time off work for that.
Yeah. You go on like a Tuesday matinee.
No.
Or no, not Tuesdays. A Thursday matinee.
I risked it for Ghostbusters and it worked because there was literally maybe four people in the entire theater besides us. And that was really nice. But for Resident Evil, no.
I think we've only seen, I want to say like 2 movies since all of this started, but we ended up doing it where we happened to have time off anyway because of like a doctor's appointment or like other stuff going on. So it'd be like, okay, that's in the afternoon. So as soon as the theater opens, we'll go off to like an out of the way theater that's not near any major city, and then we can get reserved seats, so it's literally just us in the theater and nobody else.
I guess I'm really living in a bubble here, because in LA County, at least, that mask is still everywhere. So I'll go anywhere and do anything. I'm not really afraid.
I'm seeing them less and less, and it's a little concerning to me.
Yeah.
But we're in our own bubble thinking that, 70+% vaccinated, but I'm not comfortable at all. Yeah. My terms of vaccination is different than other people's. I've slowly learned to discover. So I just don't trust anyone else. I just treat everyone like they're infected, and it makes my life a lot easier.
Not even unvaccinated, infected.
Yeah.
Like everybody got bit at the beginning of the zombie movie and they're trying to hide it.
Fuck those people, right? I mean the zombie people. Fuck those zombie people.
Hot take. So yeah, as soon as we see the movie, Dean, we'll let you know our thoughts. I would love to at some point do the first Resident Evil for Screen Refresh this next year.
That'd be cool.
That's your decision.
It's tough. When I made my list for this coming year, I realized, holy shit, I only get 4 choices.
Yeah.
And it seems...
I will not pre-make my list. It will be whatever
Dean
I feel
won't make his list.
moment.
He'll wait until the day before we're supposed to record, and then he'll be like, hey, by the way, tonight watch, I don't know, a Dean movie.
What do you think I did all last year?
I have like a general idea in my head, but I don't like cement anything.
Tim, your general idea is like a 15-page dissertation on whether or not this movie should be picked over the other one.
My brain works weird. I'm sorry.
It's
I have a whiteboard next to my computer of just like ideas.
Your work method really stresses me out. I can't do it. I can't do it. I'm not too loose when it comes to like I like structure. I genuinely do. But certain times it's just I don't want to make choices. Just tell me what to do and I'll do it. Or on the flip side, it's like, all right, it's my episode. I have to make the choice. Like it's gonna be this, and that. Let's go. And then I'll look up the info for whatever. I've been doing better when it comes to doing the research for the movie, but I just pick and choose what I figure the listeners would actually appreciate. I don't want to put them to sleep, but at the same time, there are interesting stuff. Because I mean, like looking into it, you would know, like the Jingle All the Way is the most recent episode that I hosted and that we also did. And looking into like the box office numbers aside, I don't care what movie made what, but just seeing, as you mentioned in one of our first episodes, it's cool to see what came out around the same time as what we're talking about. So the fact that Space Jam 2 came out recently and then seeing like, holy shit, the first Space Jam came out the week before, I forget, the week after Jingle All the Way. I'm like, that's really actually kind of cool. Now I can place it because I remember seeing Space Jam in theaters. And now I can imagine like, oh, then a couple of weeks later, I saw Jingle All the Way.
Well, also it's crazy to think back when we'll pick a movie and then I'll be like, oh yeah, like let's go take a look at the numbers. And then that movie wasn't even the top grossing for that week or even that month. It was just, oh yeah, this got blown out by like some random movie. But
nobody saw this movie.
As we said, Witches of Eastwick's come up a couple times and it's like, yeah, it's got a great cast. Like I personally never really clicked with me, but it's just surprising to see like that matched up against some other things of the month that it's like, wait, so this not only competed, but it beat out some movies that are now have gained a lot of momentum over the years.
I think there's just some movies that I'll remember that exist, and it's like it's weird to me that they came out in theaters. They just like exist as like a VHS only, or like they were only on television. They never came out in theaters. But when you go back and look and see, yeah, like you're saying, it was out the same week as Predator. You're like, damn, I could have gone to see this in the theaters. I don't believe it.
Whenever you ask, like, where did you find this movie? How did you come across it? That always trips me up because a lot of the times it's just, I live my whole life never knowing about Star Wars and then finding out in the next 5 minutes, yeah, there's a trilogy of movies called Star Wars and it has all of this already packaged into it. Go get to experience it. And it's like, I had no idea it even existed. And then it just walks into my house and then like, oh shit, this is cool. All right, I'll watch it. And a lot of the times it could have been out for 5-6 years already at that point. I wouldn't have known. It's just whenever it finally came into my own childhood radar. Because I remember Batman 89 came out, obviously, I was 3 by the time it came out. So getting it on VHS and watching it at home, that was a brand new release when I watched it. And it's kind of crazy to think. But then a few other movies, they came out, in the mid 80s. And I didn't know about that at the time until, years later. But I wouldn't have known about it until just someone brought it home. Because even back then, there's no IMDb to look up cool movies and stuff. It's just luck and word of mouth of my own family.
Which is kind of bonkers to think of, like, people who saw, like, for your example, Star Wars, the first one, in theaters, and then have to wait and be like, oh, wait, they're doing a sequel, and then, like, wait for that and get in line for that. And then you're around, and it's just like, yep, so check this out. And you just, like, get the trilogy off the bat kind of deal of being able to watch that. I can only imagine kids in the future who are, like, getting into Marvel, and then it's like, oh, you like Marvel? Have you seen the Marvel movies? And it's like 40 movies out of the gate that they can sit down and watch for just like the next 3.5 months straight.
They'll still be going on.
Yeah.
I'll be on the phase 28.
Marvel has definitely reshaped the face of Hollywood and movies in general.
For sure.
For good or bad.
Tentpoles especially, yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely changed just the way that cinema has been. I mean, we've practically had a Marvel movie every other month for the last 10 years, almost, give or take.
Because it's what, like 5 a year or 4 a year or something like that? So it's like every 2 or 3 months, which it just gets to the Which to me, like that's great. If you're tired of them, you don't have to watch them. But like if every time everybody says like, "Oh, it's finally like the formula's getting dry," and then the next one comes out and they're like, "And it broke all the records of the previous ones." It's like, so it's clearly not slowing down if that's the case. I think this is going to be the real big point because I know we had like Shang-Chi, we have Internals, but now that we're starting to move past the original, like the Avengers lineup of those movies, and now we're moving on to other things, we'll see if momentum carries or if people start kind of dwindling off because like there's no Cap, there's no Iron Man, all of that from there.
I'm not looking forward to No Way Home because it's a theater exclusive released during, we're still in a pandemic. How do you avoid packed theaters and still monitor safety and then avoid spoilers? How is that gonna, like, this is Star Wars sequel trilogy. This is, Endgame. This is all of the Game of Thrones episodes. If you missed the episode and you have to avoid the internet on Monday, but this is on a theater level, so this is going to be a lot harder to watch.
Gotta come out. You gotta live in LA County. Come on out.
So as far as holiday specials, aside from the holiday movies, I don't know if you guys recall the holiday episodes of shows. Like the one that always comes to mind is the Hey Arnold Christmas special with was it like Helga wants the pair of boots and Arnold's helping Mr. Wynn like try to find his daughter that was left overseas when he ended up like immigrating.
Oh my god.
Yeah,
That's
where they
sad.
like only had room and like he got pulled onto a helicopter or something like that and she got left behind and he's always been trying to find, or vice versa. I think he put her on and then he came over years later but couldn't find her. Yeah, I was going to say the other way around. It sounds, leave my daughter, take me.
Yeah, Hey Arnold didn't pull any punches. They had a lot of really deep subjects and shit that they covered.
Which, it's a show that I never cared for as a kid because it was just like, it comes on and it's getting in the way of the shows that I want to watch.
Yep.
And then like as I got older, I ended up revisiting it and now all of a sudden I have this like nostalgic love of the show because now I appreciate it.
I still have that kind of resentment for it. I was fading out of Nicktoons at that point too. I didn't like it.
Did Helga and Arnold ever make out? Like, did they ever seal that deal?
Not during the show. Outside.
When it was the cameras weren't rolling.
When the Nick cameras weren't rolling.
It's one of those frustrating things that never resolves.
It's like moonlighting. Will they? Won't they?
How would she explain the Arnold shrine in her closet if he actually did start to go out with her? That's
what
like
if she was
huge.
just,
she'd have to destroy it.
That's just straight up honest about it. She's like, so don't think this is weird. I have a shrine of you in my bedroom.
And he's probably thinking it's like a couple pictures or something. And like, no.
It's like, nope. It's my own head made out of gum that I've left behind.
Was that one of the objects?
Yeah. It's to the point where, huge red flags.
I want to see Ari Aster make a Hey Arnold movie. And then that's the fever pitch ending of like, he's staying in her room. She has to go downstairs and get something. And he opens the closet and he just sees that shrine and the music's building up. And then it like slightly pans over his shoulder and you see just her standing in the doorway.
Becomes like a Misery story at that point.
She's like wearing a Hey Arnold sack mask with like straw hair. It was always you, Arnold.
Growing up Catholic, the biggest holiday special I can think of is the Rugrats one, where it actually covered the Hanukkah and the Jewish faith. Because growing up Catholic, I didn't know anything about how they did Hanukkah or even heard of Hanukkah my entire life, and my only exposure legitimately is the Rugrats.
Which I'm glad like even kids shows at that time were incorporating other things like that, just because it creates a normalcy of like, yeah, it's not always Christmas. There's other things out there. There's other things celebrated. Like, get kids used to accepting all of the other things if that's the case. Plus, I love the Rugrats holiday specials like that. Plus, then we also got the Christmas specials too, I think. So
I'm not the type to say, happy holidays in fear of offending somebody. It's like trying to think of a delicate way. No, fuck it. I think it's just overly sensitive when it comes to it's happy holidays. What if I don't celebrate Christmas? I'm like, well, if I clearly don't celebrate your thing. So you can just say it right back to me and we can move on with our lives and call it a day. It's not a huge deal.
I was about to say, like, I think a lot of that is manufactured too. Like, I think it's people thinking, but what about we must include them, whereas them, like, they didn't give a shit in the first place. It's like, I don't care if you say Merry Christmas. I know what you mean. You're just like,
yeah,
you know, I don't know. You can say Happy Hanukkah. Nobody's going to be offended. Happy Kwanzaa if you really mean it. Like, yeah, great.
Yeah, very much.
We can celebrate it all.
There's a spot for everything. Let's all have a good season. I think all of us can agree that Thanksgiving's the worst of the holidays from Halloween to New Year's.
It's the only one? Oh, wait. Oh, no, there's... Wait, what?
It's the worst one.
Yeah, there's no presents involved.
Yeah.
I mean, I do like the food.
You can eat it anytime. What rule is there that you can only make turkey on one day in November?
I keep pushing
there isn't, but they're just readily available.
I keep pushing for chicken to replace turkey.
My family does chicken instead of turkey.
It's no one eats turkey except for one time of the year. So clearly you don't like it that much if you don't have it at any other point in the year. So let's just have chicken. It's easier to cook. It's more flavor, tastes better, and there's nowhere near as much waste. The amount of turkey we threw out this year because it just went bad.
It's just tradition. You could say that about anything. You can give a gift to anybody any time of the year. Why we only really do it at Christmas time?
I do that already.
I give gifts all year round.
Yeah.
No, you fucking
Dean, I
don't.
bought you Phasmophobia. You still haven't played it with me.
Yeah, because you guys jump around different games all the time.
No, I
don't have.
I call
because
out.
you're too busy
hey.
in theaters watching movies without us.
Going back to the theater. I might be going to the Spider-Man premiere. I'm still waiting to hear on that.
Oh yeah, because Tom Holland said that you're the next Spider-Man, so just waiting
That's
for his
right.
text.
Okay, all jokes aside, I would go broke buying tickets to that movie if you were the next Spider-Man.
I'd wait for the DVD. Or at least the reviews.
He after he fought Thanos, he got kind of weird. I'm Spider-Man.
He's wearing the tight suit.
Web slinging across the city. I kick ass for the Lord. You have more
Is that
quips.
the real Spider-Man, or is this like Comic-Con? Like, he doesn't look like he used to.
So, I don't know if you guys know any other holiday episodes.
I only remember like Robot Santa from Futurama. I'm trying to think of the other specials.
That was a good one. I like that episode.
That's a good one because he comes around on Christmas and like kills people, right? That was like what he does once a year.
Yeah, they made a
I forget the
robotic
story.
Santa Claus, but they programmed him too harsh, so he ended up just putting everyone on the naughty list instead.
Oh boy, it's Santa!
Ho, ho, ho. Santa has something very special in his sack for you two.
And he's murderous.
I like how he's a reoccurring character. I love their continuity. They're always like 10 steps ahead, and they always take that type of shit into account.
That'd be a great rewatch. That's a show that I've seen plenty of episodes, but not everything. And
It's still
a front to back rewatch would probably be pretty good.
It still holds up. That's one of the background shows that we usually have in the house.
I mean, Mr. Hanky, the Christmas Pooh, that one's really cemented in my, because we were kids when that came out. I don't know if your mom let you watch South Park.
Well, here's the thing. If I wanted to, I probably could have snuck into a different room and watched South Park, but it never clicked with me on a emotional, intellectual level.
Yeah, you were too smart for South Park, and you were younger than us.
It's because I was born old.
That was the ripe age of living for toilet humor.
Even as a kid, if there was a movie with like toilet humor in it, I was just like, this is...
Well, after
annoying.
Arsenic Old Lace, what else is funny?
Nothing compares.
I mean, I loved. Remember 1999, Robbie the Reindeer?
No.
Like it was like the claymation Christmas special thing or whatever.
Not at all.
About the reindeer wanting to join the Santa's team, so he joins the reindeer games, and it's like this Olympic competition.
I thought it was more like Hunger Games, but with reindeer.
I mean,
no.
More like the Olympic Games, but also with reindeer.
Is Ben Affleck in it?
No. Yeah, because they had, I I remember the first one was the only one I really liked because it came out. So 1999, it was Robbie Reindeer and Hooves of Fire, and then they came out with Legend of the Lost Tribe in 2002, and then Close Encounters of the Herd Kind in 2007. But only the first one I remember enjoying from there. Definitely worth checking out. Oh yeah, the cast on this: Steve Coogan, Jeff Goldblum, David Attenborough, Ricky Gervais, whatever.
Gervais.
Oh, interesting. So evidently, originally the British version, that was the cast, and then CBS acquired the rights in 2002 for the first two specials, and then they went back and redubbed the movie with American actors.
That sounds familiar.
Like Ben Stiller as Robbie instead, Hugh Grant as Blitzen, Britney Spears, Leah Remini, Brad Garrett, and Jerry Stiller.
It's a murderous row of
I don't remember
comedy.
the redubbed version.
Oh, the animation style looks like the Wallace and Gromit.
Yeah, I remember it being funny.
Yeah, I've never seen this before in my life. Huh.
I think you guys would enjoy it.
As senior reindeer, I'd like you to help me. Make it hell for him. Let's crush it, trample him to dust, then throw the remains of the dust to the wolves. Then blow up the wolves.
You don't like him, do you?
Not especially, no.
Download it to my brain, please.
I would upload it to your brain, Dean. You would have to download it.
No, I will download it to my... I want you to come and click the download button for me.
Eh.
Remember when you got Windows for Christmas?
Yeah. My first computer was a Gateway computer, and it had Windows
And a Packard Bell
95 on it that we had to install.
I remember we had our first computer. We had like this Mickey Mouse match game on it of like these cards, and we had this other like Donald Duck alphabet game where you have to like find all the alphabets hiding in different scenes. But the computer had a turbo button that doubled like I guess the RAM usage or something. But it was like
that's how you overclocked back then.
Yeah, and it was like such a
button.
In hindsight, it's such a minuscule amount. I don't even remember what it was. It was probably like a kilobyte to 2 kilobytes.
My first CPU was 133 megahertz for the processor.
Yeah. I remember that now on the startup screen. I think mine was the same speed.
Yep.
Packard Bell. Our second computer was in 98. It was a Gateway computer. You know, the ones in like the CAL boxes.
Yeah.
And it was my first exposure to DVD because it had the drive was a DVD drive and it came with this sampler. The first DVD moving video I ever saw was the music video for Hold My Hand by Hootie and the Blowfish.
Ours was, I think, Buddy Holly by Weezer was the music video that it had.
Oh, really? You had another... Oh,
we didn't have Adele, but we remember like it ended up some disc or something came with it because I remember for years my father would know Weezer and it would be like, yeah, I know Weezer because of Buddy Holly from that thing we had on the computer.
Such a weird. I was blown away at the quality. Like it was amazing how much better it was than regular video.
I was so excited to move from VHS to DVD because once I saw the comparison between the two, trying to argue that with my mother, like, look how much better it looks. And this is DVD versus VHS, you know? And I'm like, this looks amazing. I can't wait for finally every movie that comes out now available on VHS and DVD. Like, let's fucking get rid of it. Switch over to DVD. I'm ready. My body is ready.
Well, it was terrifying as a child watching like your favorite VHS, and then it's like you have to either rewind it in the VCR or put it in like, if you were fancy, you have the separate rewinder thing. But every time knowing that it's like, this could be the last. I can rewind this and it can just eat up the tape and spool right out of my VCR.
You had a high-strung childhood. I never thought of that in any of the videos that I rewound, that this could be the last time.
Death is around the corner.
I got
As
all
a child, it was always nervous energy.
I got all of my old stuff out of storage with the intent to sell, and I have all my old VHS copies with me too. And I have a few of them that I know I just recorded movies on, and I'm really tempted to pop them in and see what I could possibly have on there. Some of these haven't been played in at least like 25 years. I'm interested in seeing what the hell's on them.
I want to go back and find all of the VHS tapes my brother and I had as kids that we recorded. Because what we used to do once we were old enough to work the VCR, and like prior to that, my dad would do it for us. But for Saturday morning cartoons, we would have a VCR in the living room and a VCR in the kitchen. And because it would be different shows on different channels that happen at the same time, we would queue up the recording so we can record the ones that we're watching so we can keep them for later, and record the ones of the channel that we're missing. So this way we can like hop back and forth. So after Saturday morning cartoons are done, you have a second round of Saturday morning cartoons of the alternate channels. So I probably have tapes on tapes on tapes of shows and commercials from like the early 90s through like the 2001 era.
You should upload them to YouTube.
I kind of want to, just because it's like, if nothing else, I just want to see like, I love watching all of the commercials from that time. The irony of coming over to streaming and being like, oh, Netflix is great, I don't have to watch commercials anymore. And then sitting on YouTube and watching 2-hour block of just commercials.
I feel the marketing back then was better than it is today. And it's a little more diverse too. Because I mean, I don't know, it's just how many different ways can you sell me Raids, Shadow Legends, or NordVPN? Which, by the way, I used NordVPN. It's fucking terrible. I don't like it. It's so kludgy and
Screen refresh does not endorse NordVPN.
Not at all.
I was just about to say. So, Screen Refresh brought to you by...
If you ever hear me say those words, it's because they reached out and they finally gave us a deal. But
Hey.
no, I felt it's so much more kludgy, and I don't know. I did not like it when I had to use it that one time. But I used WinScribe.
I use ExpressVPN.
I download illegal torrents straight up off my IP. The FBI has not come for me yet.
They know where you are, though.
All of that will be cut, Dean. For your own protection.
It makes me think, I love those memes where it's like the one panel, like a guy is like shutting off his computer or closing his laptop, and then it cuts and it's like the FBI guy watching you, like sad that like your time has ended. It's like they've grown attached to you.
So, yeah, I remember the days of us having the first time we got a computer in our own room that my brother and I used to share as kids, and it was like, oh, now we have the family computer in the living room, and then we have our computer in the bedroom. That means we can
that's
actually
fancy.
We can play Diablo 2 together.
A LAN party.
Yeah.
I never had a LAN party. We only ever had the family computer.
And to make sure that the internet connected as well as possible, my father drilled a hole clean from the living room into our bedroom and ran Ethernet cables. That way we can be
nice.
hardwired.
The first
no latency
internet game I've ever did was with my friend Doug. We both had Dark Forces 2, Jedi Knight, and it had a multiplayer option that you can do. And it worked for all of maybe 20 seconds because this was dial-up internet connection trying to do a first-person shooter. And even though the graphics look like shit, neither computer, or at least neither internet capability, were able to handle it. Not to mention, this is like two 12-year-olds trying to figure out networking. And like, what do you put in here? It wants something called an IP address? I don't know.
I feel like the power of wanting to play my game has taught so many kids of that generation of, I want to get this working. I will learn how to fix my operating system, port forward whatever I need to port forward. I would learn all about my networking. I'll learn about updating my drivers when I'm 11, if it means that at the end of this I can just get online or get my game working.
You know, my day job is IT and, support and all that shit. And a lot of my users always ask me, like, you're so smart with this. How did you figure all this stuff out? And it's like, I don't fucking go to bed at night and then wake up in the morning and I now have a newfound knowledge of the MAC addresses of the last 50 computers that I used built into my head and know how to use that and shit. It's like, I got tired of asking the family friend to fix our computer. So I just read the fucking manual. They don't make it that difficult when it comes to like certain things, and just read the manual and figure it out. A lot of the times that's kind of how it just starts, and it's not that difficult to learn. So many people are afraid of technology in that way that it's not scary. What's scary is how electricity transforms all of this stuff in this box that's on your desk, puts it on a flat screen monitor, and it makes it do whatever it does. That is black magic. But when it comes to everything else, it's just ones and zeros. It's pretty easy to figure out.
Black magic is the fact that my body doesn't exist. My brain is piloting this entire thing right now.
Yeah, fleshy.
That's black magic.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm the only real person. You guys are just parts of the simulation, like there for me to react to.
Dean, buddy, if this is my simulation, oh boy.
No, it's my simulation. Like,
then
see,
simulate
you're
a
just
little
part
better.
of it.
My coworkers,
I'm not controlling it.
My coworkers and I came up with a fun theory that's similar to the simulation theory, in that instead it's more of like a Truman Show theory, in that you are the star of your own TV show and everyone else is just supporting roles, and that whenever they exit your life in one way, shape, or another, it's just because they found another job. That's all it is. So like, oh yeah, your best friend from like years ago, yeah, he joined the military, he left your show and decided to do that instead, or something like that.
Spin
It's like
off.
they didn't really die, it's just, oh, he retired.
Where did we all come from?
Wow, this got existential by the end of all this.
Let's have another different podcast where we discuss the existence of us. The TV show on NBC.
So I think my favorite Christmas gift.
I don't want to call favorites.
Or say, yeah, I think the most memorable, despite everything, is probably the PlayStation 2. Just because I remember that was I think a Christmas we weren't here for. We were visiting my grandparents, and while we were there, we had the PlayStation 2, and we ended up with, like, I think Zone of the Enders and Devil May Cry were the two games we got with it for that Christmas. And we were just, like, hunkered down in the basement on this, like, old tube TV on, like, these two metal chairs, and my brother and I would just pass the controller back and forth, just playing Devil May Cry the entire time, and then just trying to, like, figure out puzzles and things like that. And it was this whole transformation in terms of, we just came from, like, N64, and now we're experiencing PlayStation 2. And it was, like, this next step of, whoa, this is the future of gaming, PlayStation 2. And now we are where we are now.
Still the best PlayStation, right?
PS2, yeah.
I like the 3 a lot. The UI could have used some tweaks, but
3 sucks. You're wrong.
You're wrong.
I think so many games that I think of as classics now, when I like think of PlayStation stuff, it comes from PS2. I mean, some from PS1 also. But I feel like it's less so once I get to like PS3, PS4.
There's great games for sure, but there was just something magical. Probably with our age too, mixed with that the giant leap forward that it seemed to be from the first one.
Oh, big time.
Yeah. We're back during the time frame of PlayStation 2 and Xbox, where you would have like the demo discs that would come in the magazine, and then you would sit down and check out all the demos, because there wasn't like an Xbox Live store to go download demos from. You just had to sit there and play the disc.
As much as I loved Nintendo growing up, when I first got the PlayStation, I wasn't fully sold on it. I mean, it was cool, but it just transitioning from Nintendo to PlayStation, it's so radically different. Like, there's discs and there's different types of games I'm not used to, and kind of teaches you to more broaden your horizon. And it seems like once PS2 hit, that's when it really caught its stride. I think it is probably one of the best consoles of all time, with its massive library and just with it being so robust. Mine never broke. I never heard of anyone having problems with their PlayStation, you know? It was just the perfect hardware everyone had, and everyone had one. So I remember the first game I got was the Bouncer, and take it or leave it for whatever it was, just seeing the graphic comparison, even through pre-rendered cutscenes, completely left the N64 in the dust.
Yeah. I actually remember another Christmas where we used to go to Sunday morning mass if it happened to land for Christmas. So I got to open up one of my gifts, and it was Spider-Man 64. And then we had to directly go to mass, and the entire time I was sitting there, I was like, we need to get out of here. I need to get back and play Spider-Man 64.
What a cruel
That's
thing
really
to do.
cruel.
Yeah. That looks rough.
Were you a bad kid that year? That's just the perfect way to, like, well, we got to get little Timmy a gift somehow. Like, ugh, he doesn't deserve it, but let's get him the N64. No, I got it. Let's get him the N64, but make him open a game for that system, and then have him open the game first, and then let's go to mass.
Actually, I want to try. I'm trying to remember
the worst 2 hours of any kid's life.
I'm trying to remember when Spider-Man 64 came out, if that was the same year that we got the Nintendo 64. Because I remember there was one, it might have been the N64, where we ended up spoiling the gift because we had all the presents under the tree. And before we opened the box that had the system, we opened up one of our other things and it had a game in it. And it was like a game for a system we didn't have. And we were like, wait, and it's like, and then it clicks and it's like one of these boxes is a system and we're just tearing through every box that's like system size. And I think that was the N64.
I didn't know this came out for N64 because I played this on PlayStation.
The Spider-Man game?
Yeah,
That's a different game though, I think, right?
Is it? I don't know.
I think so, yeah.
It's hard to tell. The graphics are shit on both of them compared to today's standards, so it's...
I just remember I loved the Spider-Man 64 game, like, for better or worse, just for the fact that they had so many unlockable costumes, but they all did different things for the most part, or like they had differences between them. I miss on-disc unlockables in games that are more than just cosmetic skins.
Spider-Man, so I think that was one of the
Secret
first
characters.
Spider-Mans to really start doing that.
Yeah.
For me, the console that I remember getting as a kid, like that I was super excited for, was a Genesis. And I remember opening the controller first and being like, wait a minute. Why do I have this? My friend, my neighbor across the street, who was one of my best friends, they were always like on top of the new generation, whatever was out. So I, still chilling on NES, and then they've got a Sega, the next generation. So I'm just there like, I think that's why I was so excited for it, because playing the games at his house, like I'd play the Jurassic Park on Nintendo and then be like, I got the Sega Jurassic Park, and I was like, holy shit, this is so much better. Just jumping into the new generation was fun.
Bringing it back to the point and click, you really should get the emulator for Jurassic Park Sega CD. I think it would be up your alley. Maybe.
You think so?
Or like I would say watch the playthrough, but it's boring as fuck to watch on YouTube. It's more fun to play it. But in its, nostalgic Jurassic Park at its finest, so.
I just want, how do they get a new Jurassic Park game? Like, how can they capture the nostalgia, but in a good game? I don't know the answer to that, but I want them to try.
What do you mean? Like, you just want to know?
I don't know. Like, there was
game?
there was that simulation, not simulation, but that Return to Jurassic Park, or whatever somebody built on like Unreal or Crysis Engine or something.
Oh, yeah.
And it's just, there's no dinosaurs. There were no dinosaurs at the time, but you could just go in and drive around the park and see all the movie shit. But like, I don't know. I just want another Jurassic Park game. That's not, Evolution is cool, but I want an action.
You want a horror game.
Horror action, yeah. I don't want a horror game.
I think
Do
an
it on the
Alien.
Quest
Do you know
2.
who you're talking to?
I think an Alien Isolation style game for Jurassic Park would work really well, because it had its action segments. It's not pure
Scared the
horror.
shit out of me.
It had its crafting bits. It had its segments of action that you do like gunfights with and like melee combat with robots and other survivors of the station. But then you had the main aspect of the game where you're trying to hide from the xenomorph the whole time. And I think that would really work well, trying to escape Jurassic Park or do something, because there's plenty of little bits of story that's been added to the canon that would like what happened when they reclaimed Rexy, for instance. Like that could be a whole game in itself, and I think it would do pretty well.
Should they just remake Trespasser?
Worth a shot. I don't know if it's still canon though, but I liked it.
Yeah, but
it was a terrible game.
Genesis, that's one of my biggest or favorite, I guess, Christmas memories was opening up the Genesis. I think it came with like every single one of them came with Sonic the Hedgehog 2 or something.
Yeah, they were directly
at the time
competing against Nintendo anyway.
Yeah. He was the Mario of Sega.
That's how the PlayStation came about, was Sony and Nintendo were trying to create their new system after, I think, the Super Nintendo. And it just didn't work in Nintendo's favor and they pulled out of the agreement. So Sony was left with an unfinished product that they were developing with Nintendo and then decided, you know what, let's finish it ourselves. And that's what eventually became the PlayStation 1.
Because is there a difference between the PlayStation and the PlayStation 1? Because I hear like that used interchangeably.
Well, this was like...
Or like a PS1.
No, it's the same thing.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
It's just over time, it's no longer... I mean, there's 5 PlayStations under its belt, so that's the only way to... It's like the Xbox, you know, like how do you describe the 360? Sometimes you say the 360, sometimes you say the Xbox. Like, well, the Xbox One is the same thing. So in the case of the PS1, it's just faster to say PS1 than PlayStation.
Yeah.
They did remake the system a couple of times. It had its own hardware revisions. It got smaller, more compact, but ultimately it's still the same thing.
Oh, that's what I was thinking of. The PSX was the code name that they were going by for it.
Oh, right.
And I guess originally the PlayStation or PS1 with the letter was the original abbreviation, and then the PS1 spelled out was the redesign they did later.
Makes sense.
Which I didn't even know they had a redesign. Evidently, in 2000, Sony created the PS1 spelled out.
Yeah.
That was a smaller model of the original.
Yep. I was there, Gandalf. I didn't get it, though.
I got to play it as much as I wanted to every time we had to go to Toys R Us.
Oh, I had PlayStation 1 probably in the middle of its cycle.
I got it with the Lost World. That was my first game for it.
That was a great game.
I feel like that was during the time where nowadays it's like there's not really a ton of console exclusives, or if there are, they'll eventually come to like PC or something. Back then it was very exclusive, and the things that do cross over aren't necessarily even the same game. It's like you can play Spider-Man for PlayStation and Spider-Man 64 for N64, and it could be like drastically different in terms of everything from like music to style to however they decided to do it.
It was around this time I started to lose faith with Nintendo because I was starting to notice that it was able to do more stuff on the PlayStation, and loading times didn't really faze me much.
Yeah.
It was just still awestruck over the capability of what this thing is able to do. Like when they put Resident Evil 2 on N64, they put 2 discs worth of games onto a single cartridge, and it was a huge technological achievement. But having been a huge fan of 2 and already have played it hundreds of times, when I rented it from Blockbuster for N64, I'm like, this is a noticeable degrade in quality in order for it to be able to play it. The audio sounded like absolute shit. The graphics were a little bit worse, but it was cool on that I didn't have to change discs. If I wanted to play as Claire or Leon, I didn't have to get out of my bed. I can just immediately swap, or, you know, just pick the whichever one I want and, you know, just continue on playing. But a lot of games started to really reflect that toward their end of life cycles for N64 and all that. And then once PlayStation 2 came around, it's like, I don't know what GameCube is going to come up with, but when they released the little mini discs, I even thought back then, like, what the fuck, are you kidding me? Like, a smaller disc can't be good compared to, like, the bigger ones that PlayStation 2 had. And the library for the PS2 was just phenomenal.
Yeah, once I switched from N64 and then we got the PS2, I went from, like, PS2... and then never went back to Nintendo, I think, until the Switch came out from there.
I did the Wii and the Wii U, and I was disappointed each time.
I mean, it's mainly all for Mario Kart and Smash anyway.
That's it. And Zelda. And it's just... I sometimes wish they would just stop making hardware and just put that on different consoles, and they would make so much money.
Yeah.
Switch is literally... It was the first Nintendo console I had since my parents bought NES.
So you got to enjoy all that back catalog. Just give us a remaster of Super Mario RPG Legend of the Seven Stars. That's all we want.
SNES, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I feel like every so often they'll do like
SNES.
the virtual console and they'll release it, but it's like you're not updating anything and you're not really doing like a remaster on it. So it's still not, it doesn't run amazingly well. So just give us a remaster. I would love that. Just in time for the new Super Mario movie.
I forgot about that.
Said America.
We won't see that until 23, I imagine, right?
If we're lucky.
It's just the Lego movie, but put Mario in there.
Pretty much. So much so that they hired the same actor for both.
Just a reskin.
It's me, Andy Dwyer.
I really do want to do a screen refresh of the first Mario movie.
I would do it.
You have the power.
I do. I might change my list. I don't know. Depends on what's going on.
Is that January? Is that how we kick off 2022?
No.
Hope, because it's my movie.
I had to do a mad dash for Jingle All the Way. I don't want to do it again for January. I'm sorry.
So as far as what we've covered, this has been a wild whirlwind of an episode. So this is what happens when we don't have hard topics to round out the year. We just wanted to take some time to kind of chat about holidays past, things from the year, games, all these fun things as we kind of went through and just wind down on 2021. By the time you listen to this, it'll probably be around Christmas time. For some of you, it'll be getting towards the end of the year overall. We're not going to do necessarily a best of the year episode, as a lot of people do. So we might see stuff posted as far as things we liked from 2021 overall, but this will kind of be our main thing here. Unless either of you already know, is there a movie, a game, a show, something from 2021 that you care about that people should be aware of?
Squid Game's not getting a lot of attention. I think people should check that out. That was pretty good.
It's an indie darling.
Shit. I don't know.
What happened?
Age of Empires 4 is essentially just 3D Age of Empires 2. You should play that.
I enjoy it. I discovered Subnautica.
Ted Lasso.
That was probably one of the best games I've ever played.
Really?
Yeah.
And it looks like Underwater Ark, but I assume it's not.
Not at all.
Oh, yeah, I can never play that game. I'm sorry.
Yeah, you would be terrified. It's not scary per se. It has a couple jump scares, but it's not meant to be scary at its heart.
Well, when you put open water and there's sharks somewhere, like that's automatically a scary game.
Would it make you feel better if the shark didn't look like a shark?
Oh, if it's just some random fish-looking thing with teeth?
Yeah, they're very alien looking. They don't look anything like sharks.
I think I can handle that on land, but in the water, if it's coming for me, it's still terrifying.
Have you ever played Spore?
No.
The best way to describe it would be, imagine if you made all of your creatures in Spore and then you imported them into a different game.
I mean, I guess there's a certain level of cartooniness that would probably be acceptable.
Yeah.
Like when I play Super Mario, what was it, Odyssey? What was the newest one that came out?
Super Mario, I think Odyssey with Cappy, the hat.
Cappy, yeah. When you're underwater there's things, but it's not.
Yeah.
There's like a big worm or something.
The one where Mario has to double jump up to the top of the orca. A smile, you son of a bitch.
Dean gets to the water level. That's when we see him lean forward, forehead all sweaty.
I think
hands clamming.
I think I'd be even okay with like small, like piranha-sized creatures swimming at me. But if it looks big, I just can't do it.
Oh yeah, there's a couple things in the game called Leviathans. They're big. But no, the game is amazing. I really enjoyed it. Storyline wise, the first one I felt was way better than the sequel. The sequel felt more like it's just like a DLC cash grab. It just didn't hit the same way.
I think everybody should play Inscription at some point.
That was also really good.
I feel like it's a game that, like, it's on Steam. Go into it cold. Don't read up on it. Just kind of buy the ticket, enjoy the ride kind of deal. But it covers everything from like card games to puzzle things to all sorts of stuff.
The funny thing with Inscription 2 is that you and David told me about it, and then only now I'm noticing major Twitch streamers are starting to showcase it. I feel like I finally got to beat the crowd when it comes to something that's like super popular. Like, oh yeah, I played Inscription before Markiplier played it. It is definitely amazing. One of the better games that I've played, and definitely makes top 10 ever.
So yeah, if there's any listeners
of any game ever made,
yeah,
Jesus,
play it, Dean.
No.
So if there's any listeners out there who have played Inscription or know Inscription, check it out. Or if you already checked it out and you know other ones that might be interesting, shoot us a line, because I'd always be interested to check out kind of supporting indie titles or like supporting some of the more off-kilter, offbeat kind of games there. So certainly let us know. So I think it's time we round down the holiday party. Do you guys have any closing thoughts or anything else for our listeners to round out 2021?
Make sure you drink some eggnog.
Yeah, be sure
For
to,
me.
come to the coast, have a few laughs.
Come to LA County where you can go to the movie theaters and everyone's got a mask on.
I have nothing for listeners for 2021. Thanks for hanging out.
They'll take what we give them and be happy to have it.
So everyone kind of enjoy the rest of the year. Thanks for all of 2021. We'll be back in 2022 to continue on for same time, same channel. So thank you again for coming along for the ride with all of us here. So as always, you can find us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram at Screen Refresh, or email us at screenrefresh@gmail.com. Let us know maybe some of your favorite holiday gifts, some of your favorite movies, TV specials, what have you, things you found in 2021 that you want to share with us just because we like things. So we have some things in store for the next year in 2022 that we'll be happy to share with you as far as that. So as always, I'm Tim for Nick and Dean. Have a good holiday season and have a great year.